What's up, everyone? I found this really interesting geography game. So it's on this website called Urban Stats, and it's called Juxtastat. And basically, it's got like questions, and you got to pick which city or like urban area like better, fits the answer. And yeah, I mean it's kind of mostly US, but also has like world cities as well. So, yeah, I just found the questions really interesting and like kind of tough sometimes, a lot of the times. But like challenging, but very fun to try and do. So I thought I would try it. All right, let's do this one then. So, which has a higher percent of housing units built in 2010 or later? So, really new housing units. New England as a whole in general does not have a lot of housing units built like recently, so I would definitely probably say Baton Rouge being, in the south, a lot more people moving there, especially in like the St. George area. Yep. Just okay. Which has a higher percent of households that have household income under 50,000 Canadian? So yeah, Laval just north of Montreal and then Calgary. Uh, so honestly, Canada is probably going to be a weakness of mine just because I don't necessarily know Canadian urban areas that well. To me, I would think it would be Laval because I mean, I have no idea exactly how suburban Laval is, but to me, it just kind of feels like kind of adjacent to Montreal. Um, and Yeah, I don't necessarily know that's the best area. I have no idea to be honest. Calgary to me just seems like you have like all of Calgary in there. Probably there would be a I don't know. This one's so tough. I don't know, my gut says Laval, but I could be wrong here. Okay, yeah. I can't really explain that one. It could have been Calgary for all I know. But Calgary just seemed like, it's a whole area, like a whole city. It wasn't gonna have that high. Okay, which has a higher percent increase in population from 2010 to 2020? Tulsa or Chicago? Well, Chicago already has such a high population. I think it would have to be Tulsa. Um, Tulsa also saw a really high increase in the 2020s as far as I know, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was also in the 2010s. Yep. Okay. Which voted more for Obama in the 2012 election? York or Hennepin? Definitely Hennepin. Um, which has a higher percent of adults with obesity? New Mexico or Kansas? I want to say New Mexico. I don't think Kansas has that high of a rate. Like a lot of these Midwestern states just don't really have that high of an obesity rate. Um, and New Mexico, I want to say has like a higher poverty rate as well, so it would make sense if it also has a higher obesity rate. No, it was Kansas. Okay. Nope. I guess I was wrong on that. Which has a higher percent of residents who are non-citizens? Definitely Chicago. Which has higher percent of adults with asthma? Maine or Georgia? I would assume it's Georgia. I don't feel like people in Maine really have asthma. Like, if you're in Maine, you're like spending all your time outdoors, you know? So, like, I feel like it has to be Georgia. No, really, it's Maine. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Which has a higher percent of people who are Gen Alpha? Waco, Tallahassee. So, okay, Gen Alpha is going to be like really young people. So, Tallahassee, obviously, Tallahassee has a college, University of, or Florida State University. That being said, I don't think there are that many young people there. I want to say Waco Killeen is going to have more. Killeen, like this area has like the army base, and then Texas in general just has like a lot of families, I guess, I would associate with it. So I would say probably Waco. Yeah, okay. Which has a higher percent of people who have a graduate degree, Chattanooga or Hartford? Uh, I feel like Hartford ever so slightly. Chattanooga, while while it is kind of a town that has been growing and like, brings in people, I'm sure it has like some um, service jobs and industry and stuff. But I'm not really sure what is like centered in Chattanooga, if anything. Hartford, I mean, it's probably going to have more. Um, so I feel like I do lean Hartford, but I could definitely see Chattanooga here. Um, yeah, let's try it. Okay, good, good. I wish I had like a number down here to see how. I guess I'll count at the end, but I want to, after we lose this one, because we only have one heart left, I will try again and try to beat my score. So, yeah, which has a higher percent of workers employed in health, diagnosing, and treating practitioners and other technical occupations. So, higher percent of workers employed in health. Okay, so we got an LA sort of suburban area and areas south of Houston. I think it's Houston. We have like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know like exactly what goes on in this area. I mean, we have like the airport, like LAX here. But I know like I'm pretty sure Houston actually has like a good bit of like health stuff. Maybe I don't know about like this specific area, but yeah, I feel like it is Houston. Yep. Okay. Which has a higher percent of households spending 30% or more of income on shelter costs. Households spending 30% or more on like house on their home. Okay. Uh this is a great question. I have no idea which one is like more expensive. Halifax or Quebec. Uh Uh, yeah, I have no idea. This one is honestly like a pure toss-up to me. I maybe want to lean Halifax. I feel like Halifax maybe has a little more going for it. Like if things are probably more expensive slightly in Halifax, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, yeah, nice. Okay, we got a world one. Here we go. Which has more hours of sun per day on average? So Lucknow or Hong Kong? Hours of sun per day on average. Well, Hong Kong has like the summer monsoon, and so it's going to be cloudy quite often, I think. Lucknow, I mean, obviously Lucknow also has a monsoon, but um, I feel like it would be Lucknow. Yeah, I think like it just makes more sense for it to be India than China. Yeah. Which has a higher percent of people who are Hispanic? New Hampshire or Kansas? That's a great question. I know Kansas actually has a surprisingly high amount of Hispanic people, especially in like the Dodge City, like Garden City area. I think there's a lot of Hispanic like agricultural workers there, if I'm not mistaken. New Hampshire is just like a lot of suburbs, a lot of rural areas. I don't really see it having that much, so I'm gonna say Kansas. Yep. Okay, nice. Which has a higher percent of adults with coronary heart disease. Okay, heart disease. I want to lean El Paso. It's just an area that's got more poverty than this part of New Hampshire. Like this part of New Hampshire is just like suburbs. It's rich. It's a very rich area, and so I feel like it is just gonna be El Paso here. Yeah. Okay. Which has a higher population weighted density. Okay, density here. That's interesting. So, southern coast of Sri Lanka and Zambia. Let's zoom out because I actually have no idea. Okay, this is like middle of Zambia. I mean, there's a good bit of cities on the map here, but I think this area has to be more densely populated. This is quite a densely populated area. Like this entire southwestern part of the coast in Sri Lanka is. So I'm gonna say that. No, okay, it was Okay, we have another life. Did we get one? Maybe we got one for going far enough. That could be the case. But yeah, I guess we have another life. Okay, which has more access to parks? Higher percent of area within 1 kilometer park. Access to parks. See, like, what does it count by park? I guess it's like an urban park. Um, in that case, I want to say Hawaii, because like, I don't know. Although the thing about like Wyoming, I don't know who has like a higher rural population, to be fair. More access to parks. This one's actually so tough because, like, here's my thinking with Wyoming. You have the people who live in urban areas in Wyoming, and like urban areas in Wyoming are pretty small. So, like, there's a good chance you live in an urban area and you're within 1 kilometer of a park. Whereas in Hawaii, there's a larger rural population, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But just a larger population that's like kind of more spread out, like, along all of Oahu, for example. Like, not that many people who live on Oahu are going to have access within 1 kilometer of a park, I feel like. So I kind of want to lean Wyoming here, even though that might be a throw. I just don't know how rural Wyoming's population is, because like maybe I'm overrepresenting the urban population of Wyoming. I don't know. I don't really want to like zoom in and like look around, and like say like, oh, Hawaii. Like I look around like Oahu and check, but um, yeah, I don't know. My gut said Wyoming, so no. Okay, it was Hawaii. Okay, it does tell you 12. So let's try and beat 12. I think that was pretty good. I love like they're so random, so challenging. Hopefully you guys also find these interesting. So yeah, let's just try it again. Which voted more for left of center parties in the 2025 Canadian general election? Quebec or Victoria? It has to be Victoria, right? I feel like Victoria is like a super like left leaning sort of area, just from what I know. Yeah. Which has a higher mean daily high temperature in summer? Okay. Or I guess, well, June, July, August is actually really important because Buenos Aires, that's going to be winter, so that's easily going to be Hangzhou then. Um, which has a high percent of people who have at least a high school diploma. So Springfield, Massachusetts, Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's these are such like random urban areas. Like, I don't know. Would probably lean Massachusetts purely because it is Massachusetts, and I think Massachusetts has like one of the highest percentages of people with high school diplomas in the country. I mean, Wisconsin, I'm sure is kind of up there, but I just don't feel like Green Bay is necessarily like one of those areas. So I feel like I gotta go Massachusetts here. No, okay, was Green Bay? Fair enough. Which has a high percent of adults with cognitive disability? I have no idea how to like measure this. Uh, Probably would just go Pittsburgh. It's a bigger city. Laredo, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going Pittsburgh here. No, what's Laredo? Okay. Yeah, I have no idea how to measure that, to be honest. Which has a higher percent of people who were born in the US and outside of their state of residence? Okay, so they were born in another state and moved there. It's got to be Boise, right? Everyone moves to Boise from like California or whatever. Yeah, I don't think people are really moving to Bakersfield from other states. So, yeah, which has a higher percent of units that are vacant. Uh, Vacant. I want to say it's Luzerne County because I mean this is probably an area that's seen a little bit of depopulation as of late. I don't know. I don't really think it's a growing area per se. Whereas California, like, California has like super high like rent prices and stuff. And so there's definitely not going to be that many vacant units there unless like they're just holding out on the units, which, is a possibility, but I'm gonna go for Lucerne here. Yeah. Okay, which has a higher population weighted density? Uttar Pradesh, like that's obvious. Which has a higher median household income? It's gotta be uh the New Hampshire one, which I was literally just talking about New Hampshire having a high median household income. Yeah. Which has a higher pedestrian and cyclist fatalities per capita? Okay. Anaheim or Virginia Beach? I don't think people are riding their bike much in Virginia Beach. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't know what goes on in Virginia Beach that much. Maybe people do like riding their bike out there. I just feel like there would be more cyclists in Anaheim and therefore more fatalities. So I'm gonna go there. Yeah. Okay. Which has a higher percent of people who have individual income under 50,000 Canadian? Probably Windsor. I mean, it's literally right across from Detroit, so I feel like it's got to be Windsor. Yeah. Which has a higher percent of adults who smoke? LA or Youngstown? I feel like it's Youngstown. I mean, it's Youngstown is such a smaller like metro area as well. It's definitely going to be a higher percent. Yeah. Which has a higher percent of people who commute by bike. Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. None of these areas probably have a lot of people commuting by bike. Like this is like Texas, like Dallas suburbs, and then this is just like what goes on here. The only thing I do know about this part of Oregon is there's that one place called like Sun River. Oh no, okay, it's outside of it. Because I was gonna say this area actually has like a crazy amount of people biking, but if it's not even in the like district, then surely it has to be the suburban Dallas one then. No. Okay. I mean, okay, I guess yeah, Oregon people just be biking, I guess. Which has a higher percent of units with two-bedroom rent under 750. Two-bedroom rent under 750. It's got to be Ohio. I mean, Hawaii again is like super expensive, so yeah. Which has a higher percent of people who were born outside the US? Uh, Random, Missouri, and Washington, right on the border of Canada. I mean, it's definitely this Washington. Like, you do have like some suburbs in here as well, so there's going to be more people, and like a lot of people move to like Seattle, for example. Everett has like the Boeing manufacturing as well, and then it's like right across from Canada, so there's definitely some Canadians who are living there. So, yeah. Which has more hours of sun per day on average? It's gotta be El Paso, right? Like El Paso is like sunny almost all year round. It's a desert, and then China, again, it gets the summer monsoon. So, yep. Which has a higher mean daily high temperature? Central African Republic or Morocco? Higher mean daily high temperature. Uh, I think okay, daily high temperature. So it's only the high. Then I would say Morocco because Morocco you're gonna have like those desert temperatures where it gets really hot during the day. Because Central African Republic is gonna be a lot more just like um hot in general all the time. But Morocco probably has a higher like during the day. Unless like the mountains are like holding it back. Or the night. Like during the night it gets cold. I'm gonna try Morocco. No, okay, it was Central Africa. I guess so. I guess yeah, with night and with the mountains, it would be a little a little colder. Shall we do one more? I mean, we got 12 twice, so I feel like we should probably be beating that. At least try to. All right, which has a high percent of people whose rent is less than 20% of their income? Rent is less than 20%. Can we talk about this district, by the way? This is yeah, hilarious. Um, Less than 20% of their income. Uh, I don't know if this necessarily means it's just a lot more like people earning a lot and like cheap rents, or I don't know. This one is honestly really tough because I could see South Dakota being like pretty cheap in terms of rents and like people getting more. This part of Illinois is not particularly uh like high earning, and I'm not sure what the rents are like, but I feel like the rents are probably a little higher than South Dakota. So I kind of want to say South Dakota here. Yeah, okay. Which has a higher percent of people who were born outside the US. Okay, so Hudson River Valley area or Pittsburgh, surely Pittsburgh, right? It's kind of more of an urban area. No, really? Wow, okay. That is surprising to me. Okay, fair enough. I guess I don't really know the demographics of that area as well. But yeah, which has a higher population weighted density. Okay, Durham, New Haven. I think it's Durham. Like, this is a smaller area and it's pretty built up. New Haven, like, yeah, New Haven's gonna be probably more dense than like downtown Durham, but like it's got a lot of like kind of more rural stuff over here. So I gotta go Durban. Durham. What? Okay, never mind. Which has a higher percent of people who have no internet access? No internet access. I mean, I feel like northern Maine is about as close as I would think to that, so I'm gonna say that. Yeah. No internet access. Like, yeah, it's gotta be Maine. Higher mean daily high temperature in December, January, February. I mean, Bali, that's easy. There's a higher percent of people who are Catholic. Ottawa or Vancouver? Surely Ottawa, right? I mean, you got like half of this is in Quebec, and I feel like, yeah, there's going to be a lot more Catholics than Vancouver. Higher average population, weighted household size. Population weighted, so a higher household size, so more people per household. I think it's San Antonio. I think so. Yeah. I think it's San Antonio. Yeah, okay. Which has less access to public schools. Surely Mississippi, right? There's no way the Bay Area is. Yeah. Okay. Which has less access to hospitals, higher population, weighted mean distance. Okay, less access to hospitals. Obviously, that UP is not going to have a lot of hospitals. Higher percent of adults who sleep less than 7 hours. Okay, hardworking people here. Uh, Less than 7 hours. Surely San Antonio. I mean, like, what goes on in like Dothan, like Southeast Alabama? Like, it's gotta be San Antonio, right? No. What are people doing in Southeast Alabama? I don't know. Y'all need to get your sleep. It's important. Okay, which has less access to hospitals? Uh, I mean, yeah, Eastern Shore, definitely over suburban New Jersey. Which swung towards Democrats more from 2016 to 2020? So change from 2016 to 2020. Colorado Springs is notoriously red. This is already a blue area. I think Colorado Springs probably had a bigger blue swing in 2020. Yeah. Which voted more for Clinton in the 2016 presidential election? Columbus or Kansas City? Ooh, that's a tough one, honestly. I think it's Kansas City. I associate Kansas City with being a little more progressive than Columbus. So no, okay, it was Columbus. Okay, I'm wrong about that. Yeah, fair enough. Uh, got 9 this time, so did not beat 12. Looks like 12 is a score to beat. So yeah, if y'all enjoyed this, let me know. I can do another. I will do also another 1v2 video because you guys seem to have enjoyed that as well. So yeah, more to come. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.